So this came up last week. I saw the headline on Tony's Kansas City because, of course, nobody else is going to cover stuff like this. And that is a movement in Prairie Village to recall the mayor there. That's Mayor Mickelson. And, you know, unlike we've seen recall efforts of different political figures around the region, and I'm not knocking anybody who's tried to do that, but if you're going to do something like this, you just do it right. You actually have to, organize, have the right people, have some money, have the right people involved. There's a lot that goes into it. And oftentimes it's just people who are upset that start a petition and see where it goes, and then they get bored after a few months and it flames out. But if there's anything we've learned in Prairie Village, when they go after something, they're going to go after it, and they're going to go after it the right way. So this is absolutely worth watching. It's not like your latest recall effort by a handful of people who are frustrated. It's well organized. It's well put together. And one of the folks who is involved is Ed Greim. He is the attorney who is working with the folks who are trying to get this recall effort moving forward. So, Ed, good morning. Thank you for being here on KCMO. What is going on from your perspective on this front as this process moves forward?
Good morning, Pete. Right now, the petitioners are out gathering signatures. They're taking advantage of our beautiful springtime weather to talk to their fellow citizens and exercise their First Amendment rights and get people to sign the petition.
So where do you fit in as an attorney in all this?
Well, I have sort of a background role. I mean, I have to say we typically work on statewide campaigns around the country, initiative, referendum, and recall. And a lot of the work is on the front end. We help draft the materials. We look at the law. We look at the facts, and we, in the case of a recall, determine whether there's a case here for that. And then down the road, if people try to intimidate the circulators or interfere with the process, we may advise the client at that point.
Okay, so what is the deal in Prairie Village in particular? How many signatures, timeline? What's the process to advance this thing?
Well, they've got to get over 1,000 signatures, and the exact number, in my mind, is not critical because I would tell somebody always to gather far more than you need because just for a lot of reasons. With any kind of campaign, you do that. They've got 90 days from last Monday, and so which is plenty of time. They're out. My understanding is they've gathered hundreds of signatures already, and they'll turn those in, and then the Johnson County Elections Office will take a look at those, will verify that they're all registered voters, and if they approve it, then it goes on the ballot.
Okay, so they'll approve now. And do these signatures need to be are they notarized or anything, or just get the signatures and then confirm they're registered voters, and then it would go to the ballot?
Now, absolutely, they've got to be notarized. What gets notarized on in most states, it's not the person who signs it. You sign at a fair or somebody knocks on your door. You've got to, before you sign it, you should be sure yourself that you're registered. But then the person who gathered them, they're the ones who fill out an affidavit, and that's the kind of element of proof that ties it all together at the end of the day.
Okay. Ed Greim is joining us here. He's the attorney working with the folks who are launching and have just launched a recall effort of the Prairie Village Mayor Mickelson. So what can you speak to as the attorney working with them, the motivation behind this recall effort?
Sure. I mean, I think that, I'm not a Prairie Village resident. I live in Kansas City, Missouri, actually, and I do most of my work, elsewhere around the country. But this kind of came in the door, and these were citizens who found themselves just continually frustrated to use the democratic process in Prairie Village. And it's just it's almost like a movie. It's almost like a dystopian, futuristic nightmare movie. Every time they try to be heard, every time they try to get involved with elections, every little thing, they get shut down. And so finally, this is sort of the last bulwark of democracy in every Kansas municipality is recall the official who's done this. It has not been used very often, but in Johnson County, not just Prairie Village, but it looks to me like there may be other municipalities too, where citizens are sort of waking up and they're saying, look, This person doesn't hear a lot of the residents. This person attacks residents. This person is not really acting like a public servant. That's why you have the recall. That's why you have that right.
All right, so they've got 90 days from last Monday to get the over 1,000 signatures. And then if that does get approved, would this be on the November ballot for a recall? Or is it then, what's the next step politically if and when those signatures do get to the number they need to be and are approved?
Yeah, that's what we'd be looking at, is trying to get it on the November ballot. There's some things that could slow it down a bit with the review of signatures, but that's the current goal.
Is there a deadline for when the signatures need to be reviewed and approved by to get on that November ballot?
Well, yes. Ultimately, every ballot that goes out the door in every state, they go overseas even. And so that deadline is sometime in September.
Okay. But 90 days, let's see. So we got June, July. So they've got till mid-August, but the sooner the better. If they get to the 1,000 mark sooner, that's more likely to get onto that November ballot for the recall.
Exactly. I mean, I would always tell people, go in and get the signatures turned in. There's just too many horror stories around the country of people holding on to signatures, and you just, never count on having a bunch of time at the end.
And then would the ballot question just be about the recall of the mayor, or is the ballot question basically a new election between the mayor and somebody else?
No, it's just the recall of the mayor.
Okay. And then after the mayor is recalled, is that mayor basically a lame duck? Is he out of office? What then happens to the point of getting a new mayor in there?
Well, I have to tell you, I'm so new into this. I've got to figure that out.
Okay.
On the back end here to see who goes in there. But I think it'd be wide open.
Okay, it'd be wide open. That's all right. That makes it very interesting. Okay. Well, on behalf of the group, what should people know in terms of? I don't know if you're helping organize or if you're more just legally advising them on this, but they're out and about around Prairie Village. I mean, Prairie Village has 23,000 residents. Getting to 1,000 shouldn't be that difficult, but I guess we'll see how it plays out, Ed.
Sure. I mean, and that's actually a rather large amount of signatures for the size of the city. I mean, it's not easy to get the right number of signatures in Kansas, and that's the design of the statute. But no, I'm not a political consultant. I'm just the lawyer, and I let other people run the political side.
Mm-hmm.
But these campaigns do generate sometimes a lot of animosity from the other side. And so you'll see efforts to intimidate people. You'll see efforts to retaliate against people. And so you'd think you're all done once you've drafted a petition and given it to a client. But we're keeping our eyes open for signs of official retaliation from either the target here or from allies that he has.
Has there been anything that's made you concerned to date on this yet?
Yes, there actually are some concerns. I won't name a name, but there is a sitting councilman who apparently approached the table this weekend with his phone and claimed to be gathering evidence for some sort of a lawsuit and even try to take pictures of the petition pages. So we're already seeing some anger, and that's unfortunate because these people are just out there trying to exercise their First Amendment rights. I mean, the First Amendment doesn't give you a right to have a recall process, but once a state gives it to you, the First Amendment applies, and the government cannot intimidate or retaliate against people who do this. And that's the ugliest that we see in our democracy is when that happens.
Well, Ed, thank you for being here. Thank you for bringing some attention to this, and we'll be in touch in the weeks and months ahead. Appreciate the time.
You bet, Pete.